Us on the line. Tania, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Africa Update.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for the invitation.
Now, Tania, are you able to just shed some light on the current situation in Madagascar? This is following Cyclone Gezani.
Yes, in fact, in the space of 3 weeks, what we've seen in Madagascar is two back-to-back cyclones. So already we had a cyclone Fitya that made landfall in the northeast of the country at 31st of January. And then just earlier this week on Tuesday in the evening, we had, of course, then Cyclone Gezani that made landfall in Tamatave, which is the second largest city here in Madagascar.
And how have the floods impacted the food systems in the country?
So what we're seeing right now, and these are initial estimates, that overall about 400,000 people have been affected by both cyclones. And there has been a difference in the sense that Cyclone Fitya particularly brought a lot of rainfall and thus flooding, whereas with Gizani, what we saw instead were very, very strong winds. And that's where we've seen incredible, of course, destruction of Tamatave. The government is estimating that about 80% of the city has endured damages. So, of course, that is, that brings huge concerns in many ways, right? I mean, we have, I think, about 5% of electricity that is currently functioning in Tamatave. There is no water. Trees have come down. People have lost their homes. I was actually there yesterday, and what we've seen is basically, people on the streets trying to recover the little of what's left of their homes. Some still have their homes, but the roofs have been blown off. And actually, it did start raining yesterday. So, of course, in a city without electricity, without water, the potential for disease outbreak is, of course, is great. These are very vulnerable people. Of course, we're also concerned about protection when it comes to women, to children, to the elderly, to people with disabilities. Many people have also been injured, and the hospital was seriously damaged. Schools have been damaged. And then, of course, as WFP, we're very concerned about people's access to ensuring their food. Right? That is where we are extremely concerned because, of course, again, the logistics are very complicated in a situation such as this. And what we have done, of course, is as WP, already prior to the cyclone, we were able to implement anticipatory actions through cash transfers to help people, get some initial, resilient activities to prevent, further damages from the cyclone. But now, of course, post cyclone, we are very concerned about the food insecurity and indeed, the difficulties in getting food in, which is again why we're resorting to cash transfers in this initial phase. We have some rice and high energy biscuits that we are distributing through the government, but certainly access is quite difficult at the moment.
Now, Madagascar launched its first humanitarian hub funded by the EU as well as the WFP to strengthen emergency preparedness and response to crises for the cyclone-prone eastern and southern coast. Now, would you say the hub is able to meet the current needs following Cyclone Gezani?
So indeed, having a logistics hub and this kind of humanitarian hub in the country, it has a lot of benefits. It does help us in time of crisis to reduce response times, and certainly the hub was chosen to be built in Manakara, which is on the southern eastern coast of Madagascar, which is a very cyclone-prone area. So when the hub was created, it was a very strategic location, also because there is an airstrip. So again, it can accommodate planes and helicopters, and it has a very large storage capacity of about 1,000 tons. So this is very much a hub that is available for the southeastern coast, and is, of course, a model that could be replicated in other crisis regions. In this case of Cyclone
Yeah.
Gezani,
Mm.
what we saw is that initially the trajectory was going towards, was actually heading south, and then it turned and headed towards Tamatave, which was, of course, then unexpected. So in this particular case, we are responding to Gezani, but not through the hub in Manakara.
Yeah.
I must say this is actually the beginning of the cyclone season. So having that hub in Manakara is certainly still very critical to our response times because, unfortunately, it is very likely that the southeastern region of Madagascar could also very well be hit by severe storms or cyclones in these coming months.
Well, Tania, we have run out of time and are going to have to leave it there for today. Thank you for joining us on Africa Update.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
That's Tania Goosens, Madagascar's World Food Programme Director, joining us on the line. And we say a happy Friday to Debogole Kuleni. How are you of the Upside team? It's pre-Valentine's. What's happening?
Yeah, no one really pays attention to Valentine's. It is International